Oh my god. What's good, everybody? So we have this video right here by now, the biggest issue about comparisons in gacha that people ignore. As we all know, Wuthering waves sometimes gets a rep for being called comparing waves. A lot of people don't like it when we compare one games to another, and to that I say I see nothing wrong with it if you are doing it with good and honest intentions. If you are approaching this topic understanding what you're kind of getting involved in, and you're being honest and fair, I think it's okay, because guess what? Fair comparison and competition is how you get better games and better outcomes, right? That's a good thing. But if we're comparing things unfairly, if it's like, hey, if we're just doing it to rage bait on Twitter, who cares? That's my kind of point to that. But if we're comparing things just to be like a shithead, then yeah, it's kind of like, what are we doing? What is the productivity of doing this? So I wonder what kind of take bro has about this sort of thing, and I'm sure we can have a lot to talk about, so let's get into it.
When it comes to gacha titles nowadays, comparison is pretty much inevitable. Every time a new game drops, people instantly put it side by side with another competitor with similar gameplay, and
that's okay. I think the first thing to note and point out about this sort of stuff is I think it's totally fine to actually inherently compare things. It's human nature. It is literally in our instinct to compare something that's new to something we're familiar with. That's just the reality of the situation. So doing it inherently is fine, and but it puts people in teams. Like, we talk about tribalism, I'm sure like tribalism will be mentioned in this video, but that is the other side to this, where everything feels like sports teams. My team is better than your team. Go woo, go Kurobots, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how it's progressing. But inherently comparing is actually a very natural thing, and it's a healthy thing to do.
And style. Now, a lot of people will say, stop comparing, just enjoy the game for what it is. And yeah, fair point, but in reality, comparisons happen because you feel something's missing. They see what other game nails, and suddenly the other feels like it should be doing better. The problem is when comparisons turn into superiority. That's when
elitist superiority, elitist, you know, bro, gacha elitists I think is some of like the worst like community, the worst fandoms. Like, actually mine is so much better because of this particular thing. And then that mindset, it builds these people's egos, right? And they're kind of like within all the communities that kind of parrot the same things, and suddenly they feel like they're like untouchable, and it just creates toxic fandoms. That's what it is. You have a bunch of people who all think the same way. They reinforce each other's like views on a game, and suddenly they think they're like invincible when they talk about other games, not knowing that actually there are fandoms for other games that also exist with people. Like, we forget that other people exist with opinions. It's called an echo chamber and confirmation bias. It's pretty simple, really.
And it gets toxic. People start acting like their favorite game is the only good one, while everything else is written off as a cheap
It's also
copy.
Delusion, by the way. It's also delusion. You are delusional. If you exist in an echo chamber and then believe everything in that chamber, you actually genuinely become delusional.
If you've been around the gacha space, you know how wild it gets. Some players go full crusader mode. They become the full-blown keyboard warriors, ready to die on Twitter threads, Discord rants, and even comment sections. And let's be honest, a lot of that energy comes from personal investment. Some of these people literally spend their lives saving just to pump out sales numbers and flex their game as winning.
Yeah, who cares about what those people think? Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, if like, I'll be real, if these people are like chirping up on Twitter, like, who cares? That's something you have to know when you navigate this gacha space. When you see people talking superiority on Twitter, right? Who cares? I made a video about this on my second channel not too long ago. Like, I genuinely don't care if people like actually rage bait anymore, because does it affect me playing my game? No it doesn't. It really doesn't. It's, hey, whatever. Rage bait back. Who cares at this point?
And in
it's
a way,
not going to go away.
They just want to support their developer. It's a mutual benefit for both parties. Developer get their revenue, and you got your waifu, husbandos, or your shiny cosmetics. And if you happen to want to make a purchase in game, it's a good timing, because I will introduce you to our sponsor for today's video, LDShop.
Oh my god, WLD Shop, use code Cabinetz. Yeah, W.
So, is comparing games or gacha games is actually bad? Sometimes. So we should never do it then. Not really, because here's the thing. Every game's got flaws. No matter how polished it looks on the surface, there's always going to be a crack once you spend enough time with it. That's the reality. A lot of titles feels amazing at launch, shiny, fresh, everyone hype, but as the weeks roll on, they start feeling flat, the shines wear off, or the updates not met the trend standards. In the gacha space itself, that effects got amplified. As new titles keep dropping almost every single year,
Bro just listed titles that haven't dropped yet. These upcoming titles, sure. Yeah, upcoming ones, sure. I think Wuthering definitely had a very, very slow patch after 2.5. Oh, yeah, the time between 2.5 and 2.6 was long. And now, like, the wait between, like, the second part for 2.6 as well. Like, there's definitely people who are taking a break right now from Wuthering. And you know what? That's, like, totally fine. That's totally fine. Like, that's okay. Like, having downtime is okay. But it does mean people will be talking more about, like, oh, slow patches, there's nothing to do. But it gives people time to reflect, right? And that's okay, because people actually have played the patch, played the story, done the events, and then they come out with opinions, and that's all right.
the market's overflowing and the genre itself has become so common that comparisons are just on their DNA. But sometimes those comparisons spiral out of control. What starts as, hey, this game does this thing better, turn into a toxic judgment. People throw around hot takes like they're delivering a death sentence, turning an honest discussion into a boss raid that nobody asked for. Some people often act aggressive, defending their games like their life depends on it. And sure, from their point of view, it might look fine. Just let people enjoy.
Yeah, people support gachas like they support sports teams. That's the best way to describe it.
Things, right? But in reality, that mindset is a cancer that eats the game from the inside out. It doesn't just poison the community with toxicity, it drags player into a full-blown denial phase. And here's the dangerous part. When players keep nodding along to everything that's put out, no matter the quality, the bare minimum becomes the standard. Why push boundaries when people are already clapping for scraps? In the long run, that just doesn't stall innovation. It conditioned the devs to believe the baseline is enough. That's how live service games rot quietly, not...
Honestly, I really feel the biggest motivator for most devs is like, how much money is our game making? And if we make more money from 1 month to the next, what changed and how can we capitalize on that? That's really how business is. What makes the money move and what makes the money flow? I think for Kuro, like they also, people always do this thing of like, oh, like Kuro's good. They listen to feedback and improve their game. And it's because they have to, right? They have no choice. If they want to be successful, they have to be the game that does do that.
From one bad patch, but from a cycle where critique dies, complacency grows and the bar never moves higher. On the flip side, comparison isn't the enemy.
Dude, literally, I made a tweet the other day, a couple days ago, saying, hey, I'm thinking of making a video about why I feel Wuthering Waves endgame, like, isn't really it, and I feel a bit disillusioned with it. Not saying that I hate it, just saying I'm a bit disillusioned with it. And I still had people replying to my tweet being like, coming from you, it's gonna be bad. Or like, no, I think I'll skip. Like people actually be kind of like negative under the tweet. It's like, bro, like I just said one thing. And people are already being like, no, actually, it's fine. It's perfect. It's like, okay, what do we, that's kind of silly. It's kind of a bit silly, but whatever.
In fact, if it's done right, it can be one of the best tools a community has. A healthy comparison acts like a lens. It points out what's missing, highlights what's working elsewhere, and shows developer where players' expectations are shifting. The trick is
Bro, Lupa's so hot. Sorry, I was looking at the animation. Bro, Lupa, bro, hold up.
And shows developer where players' expectations are shifting.
Dude, she's so fucking cool. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Trick is keeping it neutral. Don't twist it because a game came out first or because I dropped $500 on game B so it has to be superior. That's not comparison, that's coping. When handled...
Guys, Love in Deep Space made more money via gacha revenue for mobile than all these other gachas, so clearly it's the better game, right? We should all be playing the man game. Yeah, everyone uninstall Wuthering, load up Love in Deep Space and touch Silas's PP. That's what we need.
Constructive.
We need conclusion. We need more PP touching by everyone. That's my my conclusion.
Comparison turns into a battery. It charges developers up. pushes them to refine the system and fuels the innovation. In the live service gacha environment, where long-term engagement is literally the lifeline, that kind of adaptation is not optional, it's survival. And this is why critique, a real critique, matters. Most of the time it gets written off as negativity, but the truth is, it's the heartbeat of
then you have to kind of define the difference between a good critique and a bad critique. Because you can have scathing critiques that are also true. It depends how you deliver it. And I do feel, I'm going to be honest, when you critique something like Woowa, it's not the same for everyone. We kind of know this to be true. It depends who you are and how you deliver your critique. If you're someone who is just like listing out points that are like negative about like Woowa, but they're valid and they're valid points, you will still have a lot of people who will kind of shit on you for doing it because you're saying it in a way people might not like. And the issue is, even if you make a good point and people don't like what you're saying inherently, they still might not agree with you, right? You have to kind of get people on your side and convince them like why your critique is valid. And sometimes you have to do a bit of a compliment sandwich, right? Say a strength of Woowa, but like a weakness in that strength, right? That's like a way of like having like a balanced critique, right? Be like it's kind of like softening the blow a little bit. Saying straight up critiques can lead people to feel very like on the defensive, but if you kind of form it in a way that like makes people feel, people will be way more likely to be receptive of it. I do think you have to do that a bit more in the gacha space. I also think it matters who you are in the gacha space, right? If someone like me, for example, who's been covering Wuthering Waves like since before the game came out, I think a lot of people are more likely to believe that I'm being like fair to the game. So if I'm more harsh on the game, people would be more likely to be receptive to me than, for example, if like, say, I was going to use him as an example, Genazad, if he started to say the same critiques that I did because of like his reputation in the community, people might take it a certain way. So like who you are and how you give your critique matters both in the gacha space, and that's like an unfortunate reality of how it is. Like your history also matters. So like we could critique things, but there is another layer to that of like who it is and what you say still does matter. A lot of people think, oh no, these gacha players can like handle critique. Like they can, but like let's be real, there is also a level of what people... For example, if Saint Tontus gave a critique about Woowa, pretty much everybody will be like okay with it because he is the Woowa guy. Oh, Saint's on our side, he's the Woowa man, we're likely to go along with what he's saying, right? That's the thing, like you have more of a reputation behind you of how much people are going to like accept your critique of something, which is like another... It makes it interesting. So when we come down to like Twitter people making critiques, right? People aren't likely to take it seriously because people view other Twitter people as like dumb most of the time. People aren't going to like take other Twitter people in good faith. That's an unfortunate reality. So when you see people like critiquing stuff on Twitter, you got a lot of people be like, no this, no that, or no you're wrong. It's literally because like they need to know what your intentions are when you say stuff, and that is a level of the gacha space that is like a thing. People need to know like where you stand on games.
Development. Without those feedback loops, even the uncomfortable ones, game risks going stale. People compare. I'm not
saying that's like a set in stone rule, by the way, but there is a truth to that.
They are cared, and in a scene that is competitive, those comparisons are often sparks and keep a live service title evolving instead of flatlining. Take Genshin, Wuthering Waves, and Honkai Star Rail for example. There's no denying these titles are in direct competition, and comparison, that's basically breakfast for each fandom. When Genshin first dropped, there was not much to compare it to because it was the standard.
Genshin was the pioneer of a genre of free-to-play gaming.
As long as game hit Genshin level, people were satisfied. But after Wuthering Waves release...
Yeah, but no, people compared Genshin to Breath of the Wild. That's what the comparison was. And it wasn't good. Do you guys remember that? I remember being there when Genshin first came out, and everyone was talking about Breath of the Wild. It was a huge thing. It was a huge topic of conversation for a long time.
Suddenly, the conversation shifts. For players, it might just feel like another round of who's better debate. But for the developer, that noise is a market signal, one that literally decides the future player base. And I think we've seen it in action, as many Genshin players shifted to Wuthering Waves, not because Wuthering Waves is perfect, but because it delivers
My game's better than your game. I will give Solon Lee his third yacht. My game's better.
improvements that people had been begging for in Genshin for years. Small things, but impactful. Remember when Wuthering Waves just launched and people...
I just found the game prettier and the characters hotter. Can I be so dead ass? That's what made me play. I saw Gion's rock hard abs and the game looking pretty. I was like, I'm gonna play. I'm not even kidding. I'm actually on God, on everything, not even kidding.
People start to compare the details between Genshin and Wuthering Waves in terms of character detail, like hair and stuff. A lot of Genshin players will say, different engine, you cannot compare. And yeah, true. But
no,
different engine doesn't mean no improvement allowed. And now, slowly but sure, Genshin is adapting. Look at Yelan's new skin. These improvements are not only good for the game standard, but it also needs to keep them stays on the highly competitive market. Meanwhile, Wuthering Wave had it easier because it baked in what players wanted from the start. Quality of life feature that other gacha
I don't care about quality of life. Hot man.
Players could only dream of suddenly became the standard. Detailed character design, quest skip button, freedom in exploration, even an extra daily stamina bar. That's not coincidence, that's competition. This proved that comparison can be a positive thing and can act as a bridge for players to know what is lacking in our game, and it will translate to our consideration, and at some point we will put it in the survey box for the game improvement.
I have to say, like, I've never seen, well, just from my experience, people get so excited about wooer surveys. Every time there's a wooer survey, everyone's like, guys, it's survey time! We actually get excited, and views on survey videos actually go kind of crazy. People love talking about what they want from wooer, and it's really cool. That's one of the best things I love about the community, is that people actually love discussing what they want to see in the game. I like that. I do. I think that's awesome.
And when the developers actually pay attention, the standard will rise. The low bar gets lifted, and suddenly the baseline for future content is higher. That's how you keep players not just for logging in, but sticking around. At the end of the day, the gacha market is a cutthroat arena. Player can and will jump ship the second another title feels like it respects their time more. And that's why comparison isn't just natural, it's necessary. Because without it, you'll end up in a feedback loop of bare minimum content, the classic if you don't like it, don't play it. Defense? Yeah, that's basically an open invitation for stagnation. But still though, comparison only works if it's done in a healthy way. Otherwise, it just turns into a wasted...
Yeah, I just rage bait on Twitter, who cares? Yo, kings and queens, get yo engagement bait likes on Twitter. Fuck it. Fuck it. Go to war. It gives me more to talk about. it gives me more to talk about. Just keep going, it's fine.
It's time and potential.
I'm joking, by the way. I hope you realize I'm being facetious.
Toxicity just burns out everyone. Well, at least that's my point of view about this. But what do you think? Let us know in the comment section. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching.
I'm going to call this video Comparison Waves. That's gonna be the title of this video. Comparing waves. No, I think it's good to like talk about this thing now and get every so often, because hey, it is a topic that gets discussed again and again and again and again. I'm sure we're all kind of tired of like the whole tribalism talk, but I think it's good to just kind of remind people, hey, it's okay to talk about video games. It's okay to talk about video games. So I appreciate y'all. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm live almost every single day. You can see the link in the pinned comment down below. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Twitch.tv/Captain Cabinetz, Captain Cabinetz.